Hey everybody, how's it going? So I thought I'd go ahead and show you one of the models that I've finished in the limited time I had to paint over the past couple of months. It's a towel, it's not a Space Marine. While I'm a Space Marine player and Space Marine fan, I'm also a fan of the towel. And I like their battlesuits in particular. So me and a buddy of mine who was also a towel fan decided to try a color scheme out for like a set world. And the idea of it was to be based off Noisy Boy from Real Steel. And that's what I have here. So the purple and yellow, and if you look up close you can see kind of like a red in the panel lines there. I have red in some of the panel lines on this guy. That was the idea, is to do a Noisy Boy color scheme. It also, coincidentally enough, works for doing Shockwave from the Generation 1 cartoon, or 2, I forget where he had more of a play in, I think both. But anyways, the point is, Shockwave was also in the cartoons of purple. Not the same shade, but it works well enough. So that's the other added thing here as well, for nerdiness I guess. But I think the color scheme works well. Painting it, well, I'm talking about a little bit of painting it, was kind of a pain. Tau battlesuits look like they'd be kind of easy to paint, but when you're trying to do panel line stuff, it becomes a nuisance, like on the legs here, for example. Also, the antenna on his head don't connect the nubs on his head properly. It's kind of like a little thing that sticks out that's supposed to glue onto. I ended up having to cut those off and glue it right to the head flush because it wasn't working properly. The legs are kind of a weird thing to get used to and do on the model. As you can see, he's on a flight stand. They supply him like this. And that's because really you could get them glued straight to a base, and I've made battlesuits in the past that look like they were walking on the ground they were on, which is fine, but it's such a finicky thing and such a pain that I figured it's not worth the hassle, just have them use the flight stand. So that's what I did here. And other than that, the suit goes together pretty nicely. And it was fun to paint. It's different from painting Space Marines. It's simpler yet harder in certain respects. It's simpler because the colors, at least for me, the way I feel, the colors needed are overall a little bit less. He doesn't really have exposed cabling or anything like that. So really it just comes down to what are the colors for your set world. And you just put it on the model. I like to leave the these parts here black because I like to keep it non-metallic for when it comes to Tau tech. Now I have metallic missiles, and I kind of like doing it that way. I'll make the missile metallic, and then everything else is just not a metallic color. I just think it looks nice that way for Tau, but you can do what you like. So in that regard, I feel it's a little bit simpler. The harder part is, obviously, it's not a Marine. There's more surface area to this battlesuit. But even when I've done Fire Warriors way back, a bit of the harder part is there's more extreme mold line type of, not mold lines, edging in terms of the panel lines. That's the word I'm looking for. There's a little bit more extreme panel line stuff in Tau. I mean, Space Marines have them too, but Tau have them on angles and whatnot. That makes it kind of a tedious thing if you're trying to use that as a basis, like the yellow here, the yellow here. And other than that, it's just not the same as painting a Space Marine. It's similar in the fact that you're representing hard armor here, but the difference being the color scheme configuration and whatnot. You don't typically do stuff like this on Marines where you have part of the leg like this, and then usually Marines is either halved or quartered or full of one color. Now, I based this model black when I painted him, and looking at it now, it works. Basing the model black works, but I have another model I'm going to show you in a separate video that I based light gray, and I feel light gray would have been way better here, because if you want to darken it up, all you have to do is do a nice heavy black wash over it and then go back over the color and it'll be a bit darker looking. So like for example, you do a light gray, then do the purple over it, and do a wash of a black wash over that, and then do the purple again over it, and the purple will appear darker than when you did it first over the gray. But I think the gray would have definitely helped for the yellow. The yellow is a pain, even with the base yellow color that they supply for doing it as a base color, is an absolute pain. Yellow is just one of those hard colors to do. So I think the gray would have really helped with getting the yellow done quicker and easier. But other than that, this is my Tau test model. I don't know if I'm going to do more. I'm more of a Space Marine guy, but I would eventually like to play a pure Tau Battlesuit army, and if I did, it would be this color scheme. So just figured I'd show that off. It's painted alright. It's not my best work, but I think it looks fine. I think the colors work well together. I think the way this, I think it looks sharp in the fact that how as everybody does with the Tau Battlesuits, using the panel lines to use as color separators. I think it's a sharp look, and I think it works well on Battlesuits with all the panel lines they have. Anyways, that's that. And lastly, I will say, this is one of my favorite configurations for a Battlesuit, the two missile pods. You can run them as twin linked or as two separate missile pods. I like that they have two separate. I think of all the weapons that Tau Battlesuits can use, I think the missile pods is probably one of their best overall weapons. So yeah, there's that. Anyways, until next time, take it easy.